For the past several years, I have been living what you might describe as a pretty quote unquote normal life. Pretty typical, conventional life. But if you follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn, you will know that I actually left the United States about a month ago. I am traveling solo across Eastern and Western Europe for the next several months. And why? Why would I do such a thing? Why would I leave my perfect, cute little life that I have developed for myself and created for myself with my partner and my dog and my friends and all these amazing things that I have back home in the United States? Why would I leave that? So in this episode, I'm going to break down why exactly I left the United States again. Let's get started. I think there's a lot of people in my life that kind of thought they had me figured out, that they thought, okay, finally, Brooke is settled down. She's doing something I understand and can recognize. And then I was like, peace, I'm out again. Here's all my stuff in a suitcase and I'm leaving for a while. And so I don't think it's weird, obviously, but I think some people do. And so let's talk about why this is happening. I think it can get really easy to settle into this really pristine comfort zone that we create for ourselves in our lives. And I am no different. I get my routines, my creature comforts, and my normal ways I walk to different places. And it's like my set little life where it's pretty much every day is pretty predictable. And the problem is that when you stay in that zone, that comfort zone, it's sometimes really hard to, one, get out of it, and two, it's really hard to grow, I think, as a human being if you're not consistently challenging yourself into new realms and new experiences and new struggles and challenges and mistakes and regrets and all of the wonderful things that come when you're like, oh, well, this is new, this is different. But the thing is that I heard this on another podcast, but if comfort truly brought us happiness, then billions of people around the world would be perfectly happy, because most people live a very conventional life, at least for their culture and where they're from. They live a pretty normal life that everybody can kind of recognize. But people are still unhappy in a lot of places around the world, and they don't always have this sense of fulfillment with their lives, even when everything on paper looks really amazing. So here I am. It's been about 3.5 weeks. I am sitting here in my apartment in Istanbul, and I'm going to be filming an apartment tour right after I finish recording this, if the light hangs out long enough. So stay tuned for that. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see the apartment tour. But I've been in Istanbul for about 3.5 weeks. I've been here alone, working remotely from my apartment and cafes and different places around the city, exploring, seeing all the sights and all the wonderful things that you do when you travel to a new place. And leading up to this point, honestly, since I got back from my last digital nomad adventure, which ended in late 2018. I moved back to Kansas City in 2019 and essentially started up my life again back in the United States. And within a few months, I definitely was going through a pretty rough re-entry culture shock, which we can talk about more later on, but also in other videos to come. But I also just found myself like, wow, I have changed. I am different. I don't know if this is the place for me, and was already starting to contemplate like, okay, what do I actually want my permanent quote unquote lifestyle to look like for the foreseeable future. And as I was contemplating those things and making lots of changes in my life and my businesses and my work, the pandemic hit. And so then I didn't have a choice. I had to stick in one place for the next 2.5 years-ish, just like everyone in the world, right? I couldn't move. And so I was forced to kind of sit down with myself and mental health issues and really grapple with what was going on inside and not try to escape myself by traveling around the world, which was a blessing in disguise. In the moment, I definitely thought it was the worst thing that could have happened to me. But now looking back, I'm really grateful for that forced sabbatical from nonstop travel and jet setting around the world. It came with a lot of problems, obviously. It was a pandemic, but for me, it gave me that space and clarity to really figure out what I wanted. And as the pandemic was kind of coming to a close, the world was opening up, and I was in a position financially, professionally, where I had a lot of options in terms of where I could be, I truly did start to get antsy. Like, okay, I think I've done this soul searching and this mental health exercises of going to counseling and working through my stuff and sitting down with myself in one place for a long time. I knew it was time for me to get out of that comfort zone. For those of you who have followed along on my journey, you know that this nomadic, location independent lifestyle shtick is not new to me. I have been living this type of lifestyle since I took a job way back in 2011, which seems like eons ago, but it's 13 years ago. Wow. And I negotiated that job to be location independent. And at the time, that was a very strange thing to request or negotiate. It wasn't as easy to do logistically as it is now. I mean, of course, I could get on the internet in a lot of places, but I remember back then you couldn't just get free Wi-Fi at hotels. I think some random hotels still charge, but now that is so weird and rare. Back then it would be like $20 a day to get Wi-Fi. And back then, even though I owned a house in Colorado, and even though we did have an office in the city I lived in, I still knew that I wanted the flexibility and freedom to go visit a friend in Florida for a few weeks and work from there, or go to Japan for a month and work from there, and just have that as an option, even though it wasn't my permanent situation all the time. And then obviously I ran my own business for about 10 years-ish in there and was able to truly live a nomadic lifestyle. I would go nomadic for a while and then move back and kind of nest for a while. And then I would go nomadic for a few months and come back. And then in 2017, I went all in on the nomadic thing for 18 months and sold everything I owned again, because I've done that multiple times, and went gallivanting around the world, a new country every month for 18 months across Asia, South America, and Europe. And then I came back. That leads us to the end of 2018, early 2019, and then the pandemic, and then here we are in 2024. So last year in 2023 is really when this itch for living the nomadic lifestyle really came back. I really struggled with it. I thought, do I need to blow up my whole life? Do I need to end my relationship? Do I need to sell all my stuff to get back to feeling like me? Because this lifestyle and this approach to life, it's a lot of my identity. It's just how I enter into the world is through travel and adventures and different cultures and just feeling super uncomfortable all the time and not really knowing what to say or what to do or how to navigate it. Like, God, those are the most uncomfortable situations ever. But I love them. I love them so much. And so in 2023, I started having some real conversations with my partner and friends and family about what I wanted this life to look like. And I don't know, lucky for me, and I think I would speak for a lot of people in relationships, is that it's so important to find someone who loves you for all of who you are, and not just the parts that are convenient and purely understandable to them. So in my case, Zach, my partner, actually on our first date before the pandemic, it was like early 2019. And I remember saying to him, here's the deal, dude. I am a traveler. I am a nomad. I am off gallivanting. If I want to go to Italy for 3 months and work from there, you got to be okay with it. If I want to go off for a while to bop around Asia with my backpack, then you got to be okay with that. His only question, or I guess request at the time, and still is that, hey, can I be invited? Even if I can't go, it would be nice to be included and invited. And I was like, yeah, sometimes, yes, you are invited. Sometimes I need to go solo. But he actually appreciated about that. That became a thing that he loves about me. And that's the person he wanted to go on that first date with and continues, hopefully, to want to go on a first date with. So that was really important for me, is that I ended up with someone that really supported this lifestyle. If he had said, no, I'm not into this, we probably wouldn't be together. And so I think that's a really important kind of relationship component, is find somebody who loves all of you, even when it's not convenient for them. There's a little background on my nomadic journey and sort of in 2013 really deciding like this is the thing I want to do. So back in December of 2023, I sat down with Zach and I was like, this is happening in 2024. and I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to talk to my boss because I work remotely for a company right now. I kind of made the decision that I would leave in late July and basically be gone for most of the fall leading up to the Christmas season, if you will, in 2024, and was gearing up for that throughout 2024. I say gearing up loosely. I'm not great at planning, so I knew where I wanted to go, but outside of like booking a place to stay and an initial flight, I only have a flight to Europe. I don't even have a flight home yet. Aside from that, I haven't really planned anything, especially at the time. And so I didn't really start planning until about a month out. I started purging some stuff just because I love the feeling of getting rid of some stuff about 2 weeks out. And now here I am. Everything that I need is in a suitcase and my backpack. And of course, I still have stuff at home. I still have an apartment back home. This is why I love my nomad with a nest philosophy. And yeah, so here I am in Istanbul. Part of, as I mentioned before, is this idea of truly getting unstuck, having an apartment and having furniture and having plants and being back with my dog Barnaby. Ugh, still miss that little guy so much. All of those things are really great, but I was just feeling like there was more I could be doing in life. And it just felt like I was living the same day over and over, which is my fault. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Kansas City or anything wrong, but it's like when you have your routine, go to yoga, come home, shower, eat breakfast, work for a while, round out the day, go work out, eat dinner, watch a little TV, read, go to bed. It's like rinse and repeat for the most part. Throw in a few dinner with friends, throw in a few music events or things like that we would do around the city. I just felt really stuck, and I needed to like jolt myself out of that repetitive life I had created for myself. And you could do that in a lot of ways. I'm a big advocate of, if you can't jet off to Istanbul, that's fine, but you have to be so intentional and so relentless in putting yourself into new situations and like making yourself go out to that new area of town, making yourself go to that cultural festival that you know nothing about and is going to feel really weird, making yourself go do the activities and the things in your city and region that seem like, I could do that anytime, or I could just do it next year. And just think of like, if I only had a month to live in the place I live right now, what are all the things that I would go do? And then making that list and going and doing those things. And I think for me, my problem is that I just won't go do those things. I was talking to Zach about this the other day on FaceTime. I was just like, when I come home, we have to be better about being like, okay, that museum we've never been to, or that hike we've never been on, or that restaurant we've been always saying we want to go to, we have to go and experience it and do those things, because we can't constantly just be like, well, I got to leave the country if we're going to like jazz up our lives. And so it is possible to do those things back home, but I could not get over that hump, and I needed that initial launch point to sort of jazz up my life a little bit. So I think for me too is that as I've gotten older and as I hit certain age milestones, just hit 40, I see how fast life ticks away. But then I also look back and I think, gosh, I started traveling, at 17 years old for my first trip in high school, and then studying abroad like crazy in college and grad school, and then working in the travel industry my whole career, the past couple decades. I have experienced a ton and traveled to some amazing places all over the world, and it's only been 20 years of that. I honestly get excited about like, wow, the next 20 could be that eventful, could be that amazing and different and exciting and challenging as the last 20. But I have to make those things happen. I can't just sort of assume that all those things are going to start to happen, because the machinations of life take over, right? It's like, Zach and I want to buy a house. Well, okay, at some point we will do that. And then it's like, okay, we're fixing up a bathroom so we can't travel, or whatever. Other limitations of life like stop us from traveling because we want to be around family and friends for their milestones. And that just happens to all of us. Those milestones of life start to dictate almost the things that we do with our lives. And I could see those things starting to happen about my own decision-making power, about where I could be, when I could be there, etc. And so I was like, no more. If I'm going to have this vision, this location independent, nomad with a nest lifestyle that I envision for myself, then I have to take that first step and just decide. And so I picked a date. I decided, bought a ticket, hashtag travel hacking, and I used miles, booked a flight to Istanbul, and here I am. I feel very grateful to be an American citizen because, gosh, we won the passport lottery, y'all. If you like to travel, your passport is a very powerful tool that not a lot of people in the world get to have. So be very grateful for that. And if you are a lucky one to have a passport that can allow you to enter a lot of places pretty easily all over the world, then you need to use it because that is a privilege that a majority of people on this planet do not get. A friend of mine in Bali that I've known for many years, he's Indonesian. He's incredibly intelligent, speaks multiple languages. He's a musician and artistic. I mean, the dude is way smarter than me about a lot of things. And it's really sad because he can't travel freely with an Indonesian passport. And he was finally able to take his first trip, and he was sending me photos and just how excited and just how he was just having all these like cultural interactions. He was like, wow, he was in Singapore and he was like, I was noticing this about them and this about that. It was just so thrilling to see travel through his eyes because he'd never been out of Indonesia. And it made me so grateful and appreciative of the power of my passport as a US citizen and the fact that I've been to Indonesia, I don't know, 6 or 7 times and all over the world in 50 plus countries at this point and without really any fanfare. And that's a really amazing privilege to have. But going back and forth from living in the US to being abroad to traveling to all these places and living in all these places, there's just something very distinct about the United States and its culture. And it just feels like the consumerism of our culture just makes it feel so repetitive. You walk into a grocery store or a Target or a Walmart or wherever, and it's like the color scheme in front of you will tell you what time of year it is. If it's green, you know it's around March. If it's pastels, we're in April for Easter. If it's red, white, and blue, you bet your butt it's Memorial Day, July 4th, something like that. If it's autumn colors, you know, we've got Halloween and Thanksgiving and etc. And it just is like Groundhog Day on repeat. We don't know what year is it, but we know what time of year is it based on our consumerism, if that makes any sense. And it can just be very, I don't know, unnerving, but also just sad in a lot of ways. I just found myself just not caring about the same things that it felt like my community and the culture I was in really cared about. And I don't really love celebrity gossip, and I don't really care about, I don't know, being a social media superstar. I mean, I'm a creator. I love podcasting, but I don't know. I've tried my hand at making a few reels, and it's just, y'all, I could not be bothered. I just do not find it fun. But some people do, and that's great. But it's just, I don't want children. I don't really care about getting married. A lot of the culture wars and the social issues that are kind of being dismantled and rights and privileges that are being dismantled in the United States is very disconcerting and frankly infuriating for me, at least based on my personal beliefs and perspectives. And I just don't enjoy how it feels like we're moving backwards as a country. And I just really needed a break from the vitriol and the commentary and everything that's going on. And I get it. I'm very lucky that I get to decide to step out of that for sure. But I am going to take advantage of the fact that I can just remove myself from the scenario. And if you don't know, actually the last time when I left the United States in 2017, it was because of the election. I decided, because of the results of the election, that I just decided I did not want to be around for that next stage of the political landscape. One of the things, though, I know that can happen often is that, you know, when you decide you want to leave and decide to do something really, you can get a lot of people, I don't call them haters, but a lot of people questioning or just really not getting, like, why would you leave this perfect life, Brooke, that you have? Why would you leave your partner and an apartment and a cute neighborhood and all these friends and this life routine that you have? Why would I leave all those things in a place you love to go and put yourself in a place that you might hate, that is going to be really challenging. Nobody speaks English. It's going to cost more money. They may not have the stuff that you're normally used to getting at the grocery store or what have you. It's like all these like weird things that people just don't get. Why would I go for this unknown version of life versus the really comfortable, lovely, on paper life that I had? And I think the reason for that is that I think a lot of people, when they see other people doing something that does not align with the choices that they've made in life, they want to find reasons why that other choice was a bad one. It can go both ways, but for instance, if I didn't get married, never had kids, decided to live this nomadic lifestyle, someone who did decide to do those things can look at my life and go, oh, that's not right, because they want to reinforce and feel better about their own life decisions. My personal belief is that one is not better than the other. One is only better for the individual person than the other option. So if I had kids and was married, I just think I wouldn't be happy. But I know plenty of people who are married and have kids and love their lives. That's a me thing. That's not a society thing. And so I think that there are people who just want you to fit in a box that they understand and that resonates and aligns with the decisions that they've made, because we have this evolutionary programming and the societal programming, right? That we're fighting against it all the time. The evolutionary programming is like, stay safe, keep it normal, don't go out of the cave, don't go out of this perimeter because you might get killed by a wildebeest or a dinosaur or something. I don't know. Humans did not overlap with dinosaurs, but you know what I mean. And then there's the societal programming of like, okay, here's the line. You go great education, college, great job, partner, marriage, house, kids, insert da-da-da-da, and then finally retire and then travel the world. Like that is a trope of life, if you will, that a lot of people understand. I think the lifestyle I'm choosing, whether it's being child-free or digital nomad, remote work, that type of lifestyle is becoming much more and more prevalent. At least my social media ecosystem tells me that it is. Maybe that's just the algorithm feeding me what I like, but it seems like it's more normal than it used to be and more acceptable than it used to be. I would say for people in my age group, the 40 plus, it is less acceptable. It seems more strange. It seems like something, oh, of course, you can go and try to launch a business and do all these random things if you're in your 20s or early 30s, where it's like, yeah, take some risks, do some things, but eventually you better settle down. And that's that societal programming kind of coming through, telling us this is the way it's supposed to be done. And I've just never really liked that mantra of what's supposed to be done. So here we are. I am in Istanbul and I am loving life. Back to the lifestyle, the societal things, I think this whole concept of remote work and the Great Resignation, the digital nomad movement, location independent, all of these, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of terminology around it. But the reason I left is because I can. I have that freedom. I have a remote position in a remote company, and I can work from anywhere as long as I'm available during the time frame and the meetings I need to be available for. Then I can work wherever I have a great internet connection. And if you work for yourselves, you have even more freedom because then you can work really whenever. And I think more and more people are taking advantage of this flexibility. I think I saw a stat, I think I wrote it down here somewhere. Over 50 countries at this point have developed some form of a quote unquote digital nomad visa, where they're allowing people to come and live and work in their country as long as they have gainful employment or self-employment that comes from outside of the country. And there's a lot of those. 50 plus countries are doing this now. So there is an ecosystem developed around this type of lifestyle that we're all kind of seizing this opportunity to be like, because like, why? If you don't have to be in one place your entire life, like my parents did and their parents did before them, let's choose an option where you can be free. You can be in a lot of different places and really seize the day, as they say, and really seize this point in time where we are incredibly lucky to have the technology and the flexibility and the freedoms to be able to move around like we do. So I'm going to wrap this up and just say that as grateful as I am for my life back home, for my partner and my home and my friends and my family and my Barnaby, my little pup, I love all of those things so, so much. But I also love me. And the people who love me the most and know me the most know that the Brooke I am today is because I've taken these types of leaps throughout my life and sort of taken that path less traveled that other people never really understood or just couldn't make sense of or would never choose for themselves. I would choose that destination. I would choose that path. And that has made me who I am now. And so if you're a friend or family member or stranger on the internet who love who I am now, it's because I do shit like this that makes me who I am. And so this is the life I want to live. This is the life of being out of my comfort zone, being super uncomfortable almost all the time, living that unconventional life, that a life that most people can't imagine, most people can't understand, and truly escaping this quote unquote ordinary. I want to pursue the extraordinary version of my life. I want my tombstone to say, damn, that girl lived a life, or something along those lines, because that's how I want to take my last breath, knowing that I seized every opportunity to get as much out of this existence as we possibly can. And I hope that by listening to this and being part of my community, you will find a little inspiration to seize some of those moments for yourself, whether you're traveling around the world or you're just traveling around your hometown. Try to find ways to expand your comfort zone, to feel a little discomfort, to seize moments that are unnerving and foreign and challenging and maybe a little scary at times. My life looked really great back home in the US, and it was, and it is, and it will be there waiting for me when I decide to go back to the United States. But really, the only thing that matters, whether it's me and my choice of lifestyle or you and your choice of lifestyle, however it looks on the outside, as long as it feels amazing to you on the inside, that you feel contented with your choices and excited about the next day and what's to come for you in your life, then you are doing it right, my friends. That is the life that you should be living. Is this the right choice for me? I don't know. It's been about a month. I've had my ups and downs. Istanbul is amazing. I'm going to have a couple of videos about it coming up soon. But I've also had some challenges and moments where I'm like, what am I doing? Why did I live this amazing life? But for the most part, I know that this was an amazing decision for me, and I hope that you will join me back here again as I keep unfolding this adventure here on the show. Remember that every day you postpone a dream, you weaken it a little, so get out there and make some magic happen. Cheers.